Good morning and happy Monday. Anyone have trouble getting out of bed this morning? Just didn't want to get that head off the pillow. I know old DT Driver did, but he's not feeling 100%. Who is in here? Carla Barnes, good morning. I love the intro. I shortened it a little bit. Reason being, I used to keep it to like a minute and a half because, well, it gives me time to, look at some more notes, get OJ settled, go pee, that type of stuff. But at this point in the game, if people don't know we're live at 9 a.m. Central every morning, there's no point in waiting around for them. You know what I mean? Good morning, Nene Nut. Good morning. Karma said wind and flooding. Yeah, I'm looking at the inflatable turkey in my front yard, and he's turned all the way around with his feathers up in the air, almost like doggy style. And I can't wait for Linda to get a drink of that when she comes out. Because, the turkey is mooning her right now. But we are live and shit. That's right. Live and shit, 9 a.m. And woo, we got some things to talk about. What the hell is going on? A Netflix documentary. Well, how come Dawn and Candace don't know about it? Word to the wise, Dawn and Candace don't always tell the truth. People have been messaging good old Tim Mullen. He don't know. He hasn't heard anything about a Netflix documentary. You think he'd be all over that? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And hey, maybe they approached Fred first and said, we want to talk to you. Then we'll talk to them. I don't know. I'm not really in that world, if you know what I mean. But let's take a second and tell everybody, good morning. Welcome your neighbor Baptist style. Again, welcome. Now, if you are ringing into the chat on replay or what have you, and someone misses you, it doesn't mean we can't see you. It just means the chat's rolling. I know a couple of people have been offended, and they're like, I'm invisible in there. No one told me hi. So this is the hi. How are you? How's your Monday for everybody? How's that? Well, I'm going to start with our friend Tim Mullen. Look at that, Danny Dane. Yeah, nobody ever says hello to me, laughing my ass off. I say hi to you because half of the shit in my flower beds came from you. Girl, I got a constant reminder of you. Every day. She's a great gardener, by the way. A great gardener. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with your comments from last week's show. Y'all had a lot to say. There was a lot of well wishes for Uli, who, by the way, is still very ill. Michael W.H. said, too bad there's no reward, or let's say celebrity interest for Summer. Isn't that a kick in the ass? Talk about adding insult to injury. Law enforcement has no reward for Summer. None. Now, that is a two-ply thing, because they know a reward isn't going to have anyone talk, or because they're not 100% sure what really happened. We do know there is an open criminal investigation Not just an investigation like Sebastian's case, but there is a criminal investigation. Two totally different things. Now, there was a reward, but that reward, in my opinion, was never meant for Summer Wells. Hence why they were going to call it off in 6 months. They left it open for a year. Then it went to, I guess you could call it arbitration, and it got given to the Child Advocacy Center. Now, what good does that do Summer Wells? None. And people were honestly arguing about it. They're like, well, they already knew that was going to happen. They knew if she went and found it was going to go to the Child Advocacy Center. And I'm like, that's not the point. The point is there should be a reward in place until said person is found. You've got to be kidding me. Why anybody would defend that shit, I'll never know. Maria O'Sullivan said, he thinks, meaning Don, CPS is taking our country over. Actually, he said the Biden administration is responsible for Summer's disappearance. Okay. Then after our show last week, where we were laughing our asses off about it, good old Tim put this up. It was the Biden administration with open borders that was in office when Summer Wells disappeared. Maybe now, ... with the prayer emoji. They're not going to get off that. They're just not. So now the border being open is why Summer is gone. Really? Really? So you're telling me in January, when Trump's inaugurated and shuts all that shit down at the border, she's going to pop up? Tim. What are we going to do with you, Tim? Damn, Tim, you just listen to everything that your human boss has to say, which is why this is what he calls Don. He says Jesus is his boss, but Don is his human boss. I'd love to know. I'd love to know more about that. Anyway, our friend Michelle After Dark had a really interesting video over the weekend where she's talking about dogs that tracked Summer to Fred's house. Now, I am not saying Fred had anything to do with Summer's disappearance. God forbid, I am not saying that. But it was said, and it needs to be discussed, because we're not going to give up on the case of Summer Wells, even though some people want us to. I had a comment saying, you're never going to leave these parents alone, are you? Let me tell you something. In Georgia, there is a woman named Brittany Patterson. She was taking her kids to the doctor. She left one child home alone, I believe, one. Probably need to read up on it. While she was gone, he walked down to a local store and he was seen by some people. She gets home and they arrested her. Now, here we have Candace Wells, who was at home in the middle of the day when her daughter disappeared, and nothing. CPS was getting ready to cram it in their ass until they signed over their rights for those 3 boys. Mark my words. Mark my words. Now, mind you, Georgia's a different state than Tennessee. But there was 2 adults there that should have been minding all the children. and nothing. Now let's listen to what Michelle says in a very nice voice, a very much lovelier voice than mine. New info about where the search dogs tracked Summer.
No, I'm kidding. It really isn't. It really isn't the trailer for the new Summer Wells movie. I don't even know whether there is a movie in the works.
I'm glad she said that because we can't get any verification that there really is going to be a Netflix documentary. We know they've been working on one for JonBenet Ramsey, and I believe it's supposed to be out, I think, the 25th of this month. I'm almost wondering if someone's not pranking someone. You know what I mean? It happens quite a bit in these cases.
It's something that's been discussed this week on Ziggy's channel, and a bunch of other people have come out to critique that, shall we say. I've no idea whether people are planning a movie. I've no idea whether they're going to pitch that to Netflix. I honestly don't care.
Okay, a pitch to Netflix is different than something's in the works. Okay? Totally different. I just want to know why Meteor Manager has no idea about this. I thought he was the big old rooster in the hen house. Okay? That's what I thought. How would he not know if he's the Meteor Manager? Is somebody pranking old Zigster? Or did someone reach out to Fred for an interview? I don't know. But it's definitely caused a lot of discussion.
I don't care. As long, look, what harm would a movie do as long as it was really well done? You know, not like the book that dude did who gave me a copyright strike for no reason. You know, a very sensitively planned, informative movie about summer. What's the harm in that? But look, I'm neutral. Is there a movie? I don't know. No one's ever spoke to me about a movie. I've never heard anything about a movie. I don't care. So we're not talking about a potential movie here. Instead, I'm going to discuss what Fred said. Fred Hill, who was the neighbour of the Wells. Two properties further down Ben Hill Road than the Wells, 165, 167, and then I think it's 207 or 209. I never remember the numbers. But further down Ben Hill Road. I'll show the map shortly. And Fred and Ziggy, they're married now. Did you know? They're married now. And Fred lives with Ziggy. I haven't watched Ziggy for quite a while. As people are talking about this movie, I checked into Ziggy's channel to see what was going on. And I heard this from Fred. And it's about the dog sense. So anybody talks about dogs, I prick my ears up.
I do like how Michelle has her puppies on the channel. I used to like when Navalis had his puppies on the channel. Yeah, don't think that I can do that with OJ. You see, because then he'd be jumping over the fence, fighting with the neighbor dogs, rolling around in the yard, jumping over the fence to go get treats from my neighbor behind me. It wouldn't be peaceful and serene. Okay? So, won't have my mascot on here.
So let's talk about Summer Wells and the scents. Now, this is according to Fred Hill. Now, Fred has spoken before about dog scents on his property. A scent dog alerted to Summer's scent on his property, and he goes into a little bit more detail. He also denies that the footprints are Summer's, which I find very interesting.
Those damn footprints. I'm telling you. Rumor after rumor after rumor after rumor in the face of tragedy. I think we can all agree that Summer was a victim of her environment. Whether she ran the hell away because of something that was going on at the house, which they totally deny, one of their acquaintances grabbed her, or something happened at the house. Can't really be more than that. But hey, I'm not the investigator. But the friggin' footprints. We heard about this from Jody. She said they were on her property. Now, who the hell would say something like that? And then we hear they're on Fred's property. But we didn't hear about this until August of 2021, and this is after how many rains they had? And they have the footprints. Cam and Allie supposedly did. But law enforcement doesn't. People have called, and they're like, we don't know anything about any footprints. No. Try again.
All right, let's go.
But they had 3 dogs out then before you get to Dawn's driveway at that creek. There's a culvert there, and before you get to Dawn's driveway, as you first go in Ben Hill Road.
So here he's talking about the 15th. So he left to either tow a truck or not tow a truck. Things are vague on that. It's now not tow a truck, but he went to Kingsport. And then by the time he got back, the place was swarming with cops and searchers because Summer had been reported missing. So here he's trying to get into Ben Hill to go to his house, and there's 3 dogs searching the creek area. So this is new. Obviously, they're going to get the dogs out as early as they possibly can. I don't know specifically what time this was, but Summer was reported missing 6:23, 6:26. The dispatch call was just a shade after 6:30. By 7, the cops had started to congregate, and then Fred came home during this melee of confusion and getting searches sorted. So there's 3 dogs in the creek area.
A dog in the road, and they had a dog below the culvert in the creek, going up down the creek, and then they had a dog above the culvert going up down the creek, which is right behind Andy and Jody Sue's house.
So they had dogs on the 15th on.
Yes, they had dogs there when I got there.
That
Yeah, of course they had dogs everywhere. They had dogs everywhere. Except for the Delphi case, that's the first thing they do is they deploy the dogs. They deploy the dogs. And normally, the dogs alone find said child. Now, it's when the dogs aren't picking up a scent or the scent stops in one particular place and goes no further. Then they start getting the drones and the helicopters. Then they start doing the shoulder to shoulder searches. Summer had every bit of that and more. Where can she be? Kat, thank you, my friend. She said then it was only 1 footprint. Then over 100 yards away was 1 other print. So we're led to believe Summer was just hopping around on 1 foot. What'd she do? Tiptoe from Jody's house to Fred? And then hop again? No.
That does make sense. Absolutely makes sense to get the dogs out as early as possible because they're looking for a missing child in an environment that is, probably very familiar to Summer on a hill. Remember, the Wells property is 11.2 acres. So they're going to be searching the creek, which runs kind of around the property. There's actually 2 creeks. There's Beach Creek, and then there's the other creek that comes down Ben Hill Road. I forget what that's called. Anyhow, doesn't matter. So they're searching the creek.
So, okay, about Summer's scent. Okay. They said, can you ask Fred if Summer's scent went down the driveway or through the woods? Me and everybody else are still confused about that, I believed. Like, do you know where her scent went? Like, if it went, do you know, like, for sure?
They never really clarified that. Never really said whether it went down the driveway or down the dog trail, but they did find scent going to the road, the main road.
Well, I don't think it matters whether her scent went down the driveway or down the dog trail. If she walked off, or if someone walked off with her, it doesn't really matter whether they went down the dog trail or the driveway. They both come out on Ben Hill Road within maybe 100 yards of each other. So I don't really know why that matters, but people are still confused about it. I don't know the answer. Don says the dog trail. Dave Rader from Equisearch said the driveway. And then Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, who confirmed that a scent was followed down to the road, he didn't specify, so I don't know.
About 3 different dogs. So
3 different dogs.
3 different dogs. Now, that's new. So 3 different dogs followed Summer Scent, according to Fred. According to Fred.
Supposedly, but you don't know if it was down the driveway or down the trail. But the trail, this dog trail, goes straight to Andy's property. It's first through Dobbs, right? First Dobbs, then Andy.
So does the driveway, though. Like, the driveway comes out and the dog trail come out, like, in front of Andy and Jody Sue's property. Now, Ziggy's trying to throw shade on Andy because apparently Andy's in this movie. There was no scent found on Andy and Jody Sue's property, as was then.
That's important to know. That's extremely important to know. And I appreciate these reminders more than I can say because there's so much bullshit that it's easy to forget the important facts. Hence why I absolutely adore this video. There was no scent, none, on Jody Sue's property. None. Yet there was 1 footprint, and then 100 yards away, another 1 footprint. And these people are so damn ignorant that report this. It could be a size 13 men's shoe, and they would still say it was Summer. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with. Okay? I'm telling you. They don't need to use their old noggin and their brain cells. No way. They're just going to say they saw a footprint. Hell, it could be a bear. They're just going to say footprint. It's not like they went and got one of Summer's shoes and said, oh, let me see if it fits. Let me see if it fits. No. They're just like, oh, I saw a footprint. I just saw a footprint. Diane Miglor, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you, my friend. Kat, thank you for the super sticker. And Shonda and Zach, woo! Making it rain. Yes. But that's important to note. Jody Sue's right across the road. Down the driveway, right across the road. Well, I mean, you might have to, veer off a little to get to her house. But there was no scent of Summer there.
Is that what you will?
Which is interesting.
because that's a shortcut from Andy's house to the Wales' the shortest trip, you know.
And you didn't see Dobbs on the 14th, did you, or anything to do with that whole commotion?
I never even knew nothing about Dobbs till after summer rendition.
Yeah, I find that really strange. I'm kind of now stuck on that I kind of wonder.
But see, I never been in Alhambra on the 14th, so I don't know on the 14th.
I know, it's just weird to me because how they got so upset. It makes me wonder, was something supposed to go down the 14th, or is that whole thing with Dobbs a distraction to make us think?
But even if it's supposed to be down on the 15th, they probably trying to get rid of Dobbs.
The whole thing with Dobbs is not a distraction. The dude's trying to move on to his property. He's got his own business to attend to. He's not part of this, but his name has come up again. His name has come up again. And why? I don't know. He's not part of any distraction.
On the 14th to finish what they're doing.
Unless Dobbs is actually involved and they're just trying to pretend like, they're trying to act like there's this feud to try to throw people off.
So again, this is throwing shade on Andy and Jody Sue. Look, Jackie Dobbs had got nothing to do with Summer's disappearance. He just was unlucky enough to buy a 2-acre slither of land that adjoins Jodie Sue and Andy's property. Well, it's not their property. They just behave like it was, but it wasn't their property. It belongs to Andy's mother. And Jackie Dobbs was just unfortunate that he turns up on the 14th, like the sale had gone through, he turns up on the 14th and then is driven away and he was gone. He was gone from the area when Summer disappeared. So
He damn sure was. He damn sure was gone from the area. And he has the receipts to prove it. He was at the Roadway Inn over in Kingsport, I believe. So when he was interviewed by law enforcement, this is where I was. They have cameras all over this motel. It's not a hotel, it's a motel, if you know what I mean. You know, complimentary coffee in the lobby and one fresh towel a day. That's what we're talking about. That's where he was. He wasn't anywhere near Beach Creek. No. But the shade continues.
So he's been investigated. He's been thoroughly investigated by the cops. Look, he was on camera. Dobbs has nothing to do with it. Dobbs is just an unfortunate person who's been embroiled in this. But using Dobbs to throw shade on Andy and Jodie Sue, I don't think works, honestly.
Because I never looked at Dobbs like as guilt, you know, as a part of it, but it makes me wonder, could Dobbs have like interfered in some way? Is that why they were really upset? What was going on back there that they didn't want Dobbs to see? Or I don't know.
Well, I mean, possibly. Weed, I don't know. Jodie Sue was up in arms about Dobbs buying the property. We've talked about that at length on this channel. I've played the clips from Jodie Sue about how angry she was about that sort of land being sold. And did Summer disappear because of a land dispute? Well, it would have been a land dispute with the Wells, not with Dobbs.
It can't be a land dispute, even though that's what Jodie Sue alluded to. Actually, weeks before Summer's disappearance, Jodie Sue had a very, very active Facebook where she would record Facebook videos. And she said, her words, people are going to start disappearing around here. Well, why did she say that? It was over land disputes. You see, Jodie and Andy could not possibly have a land dispute because their asses don't own anything. Nothing. The dispute would be between buyer and seller. And it was obviously agreed on because they closed on the deal. They closed on the deal. It was Jodie that was pissed. Now, what the hell was she going to do with that land? She going to start a farm? She going to subdivide? What is she going to do?
If that was the case.
I wonder why Dobbs was chased off the day before Summer went missing. It was his property.
That is true. Because maybe Jodie Sue's a bit crazy. Maybe that's why.
The only time I ever seen them dogs go anywhere in the holler, they never was at the holler, nothing. You'd only see them cross from Don's property onto Dobbs' property, which with the Andy's property. That's area right there, right there. So across the road, you see them every now and then. And all of them wasn't going anyway. You just see 2 or 3 at a time or something at different times.
So they're talking about the Wells dogs that wandered around. Now, I don't know how Fred would know the movement of the Wells dogs because he's like living right down the road. He's not going to see dogs coming and going from where he would normally be, you know, even outside, unless the dogs pass by. So I don't really know. Again, it's relevant to Summer's disappearance because both Dawn and Jodie Sue said the dogs weren't there on the 15th. All the dogs had magically disappeared. You know, when people say, why didn't the dogs bark if someone came up onto the property? Well, neighbours have talked about the possibility that Summer had a dog with her when she disappeared. That has been talked about by the 2 neighbours whose land the footprints were on. But we're going to get to the footprints shortly.
Trev Time asked, I never had the chance to directly ask this, but can Fred address the rumor of the dogs coming to his property and there being a hit? Did they bring the dogs over at all, or what is the deal with that?
What, they was,
that hit. What can you explain that?
So that's not a rumor. That Fred has talked about this before, and there was a scent on Fred's property. So open your ears here.
that was not the, I think it was 16th when the evening of the 16th.
It was the 16th,
Yes.
and we're in.
But what their theory was, the law enforcement, they figured it was scent that where Don had been there, come up where they had come up a holler, because he had scent all the way up a holler and stuff, but it got stronger about the time the road got rougher. They figured it was where the vibration off the vehicle was causing the scent to get more. You know, where the road got rougher.
So where was it?
The vibration. So the scent got stronger. Dawn's gonna have a very different scent than Summer. A very different scent. Goodness.
Vibration of the vehicle. What? Law enforcement thought it was Don's scent that the dogs were following. Why? Because Don would have had Summer scent on him. Okay. So that would be a mixed scent. So you don't.
No. No. I've never heard of dogs getting a mixed scent. Not that I'm the expert. Please forgive me for my ignorance. Vibration of a car, my ass. They're looking for a very, very specific scent. Not a combination of Dawn and Summer, as if that doesn't want to make you barf. Ugh. And I don't know why law enforcement is giving anybody, and I mean anybody, that kind of information.
You have to have a very, very good dog that could pick out Summer's scent from Don's when Don went to Fred's on the 15th and these dogs are there on the evening of the 16th. You have to be a very good dog to be able to pick out that scent on a mixed scent, because Summer's scent would be minute. If let's say Summer's scent was on Don's clothes, one, he would have had to not change his clothes since Summer last had contact with them. You know, if Don had showered and changed his clothes, then that's nonsense. But a vibration off a vehicle, so Summer's scent will be on a vehicle. No. If law enforcement actually said that, or the searchers actually said that, I question their competence, but did anybody actually say that? Is Fred misunderstanding? Is Fred misremembering? Or is Fred just blatantly lying? Who knows? We don't know. No way to prove any of this. But vibration off a vehicle, scent would be stronger in certain places, not because of a vibration off a vehicle, but because scent pools in certain areas. It depends on the wind direction. It depends on the type of ground. If you're talking about an artificial surface like a road, you know, concrete, tarmac, etc., or an artificial surface like the outside of a vehicle, that scent doesn't linger for very long, dissipates very quickly. Now, scent coming out from the inside of a vehicle, yeah, that could happen. But for it all to come out and then congregate somewhere near Fred's, no, that's a stretch too far, in my opinion. But nobody can prove anything, can they?
Where was the scent? Like, where was it?
Okay, my girl, Beck Carter, those dogs didn't hit on Dawn's scent. Holy hell. Lawson made it clear when he was talking to Brian Enton with News Nation. What was hit on was Summer's scent and where it stopped. Now, he didn't elaborate, but there was no, well, we went ahead and sent the dogs out too just to see if Dawn, was walking around. No, they were looking for Summer. They knew where Dawn's dumbass was.
That they were hitting. It was like, right, was it at the bottom of the driveway?
No, we come all the way up my driveway and it didn't go toward the paper. It went on there's a little flat like on past the camper.
Oh, so it went in the wood, kind of off and to the right in the woods.
Yeah, he just went straight up there to that little flat.
Huh.
And see, I had a 2006 Explorer sitting up there, and they just stopped it. That's what people said, that, oh, the dog cheated on that vehicle and stuff. No, I said it stopped at that vehicle. That's where they stopped, because that's where I had a vehicle parked at, and it was this little flat. They assumed that maybe somebody had walked up there or something.
But what about the scent at the bottom of it?
Huh. So the dog tracked Summer's scent all the way up to Fred's, past the camber, to a flat area. Now, I've never been absolutely clear whether this was 165, 167, or the 207 property. I've heard 207, I've heard 165, 167. It, again, doesn't really matter, but on Fred's property and then stopped at a vehicle. Well, did Don stop at that vehicle? If you're saying that this scent has come from Don, then did Don stop there?
Is that what people are saying about the scent at the bottom of the truck or whatever? Is that what they mean?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that,
what they was getting at. When I said it went up to a vehicle that was parked at the top, I never said whether in a truck or a car or what.
and that was the 16th?
You know, the evening of the 16th, an hour before dark.
That's weird because Dawn was there, had been there
He'd been there numerous times, from the 15th to the end.
really? He been
So we've been there numerous times. So Don kept going to Fred's. Well, we know that Don went to Fred's on the evening of the 15th to see if Fred knew anything. So what? Don had kept going there all through the 16th while the search was going on. I assume law enforcement would have been following him. Come on now.
he was
Yeah,
like,
he was there before dark on the damn 15th in October.
yeah, I know, that's weird. Yeah, so yeah, Fred's never denied that happening, or that the dog sent or her scent traveled down the whole road, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I do
But
know.
see, they got sent
So the scent went down the whole road. The scent went down the whole road, according to Fred Hill. Now, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said that the scent from Summers Hill stopped at the road, at Ben Hill Road. So presumably, the scent was picked up again.
You know, I would hope, okay, fingers crossed, that if Don lied to the police about where he was when Summer went missing, he would be arrested for lying to the police, much like they did with Megan Boswell over in Sullivan County. I would hope that after almost 3.5 years, they know where everybody was the afternoon of June 15th, 2021. I would hope. Now, what I was talking about is they weren't searching for Don because they knew where Don was. Because when the police got to Ben Hill Road, they already had a search forming. They already had a lot of irons in the fire. According to Don, he beat them home. But then according to Don, when he pulled up, the police were there. Anyway, they weren't looking for Don. They were looking for Summer. And this just makes things way more confusing. Nobody gives a shit that Don on the 16th was on Fred's property. What I do care about is that on the 18th, he drove to Virginia to give Dudley the rest of his money. Why? Why? Same reason that Candace started beating on Allie's door on the 17th, because they wanted to find out what they had been asked by law enforcement.
Further down the road. That would make sense. If Summer walked that way, that would make sense because the scent would pool in certain areas. So it would be stronger in certain areas depending on the type of ground that you're talking about, depending on the wind direction. And the scent might pool on like the edges of the road. It makes absolute sense. If Summer walked that way, if Summer walked to Fred's, like she was playing out and wandering around, or she was taken that way, If she walked along Ben Hill Road, you might not get a straight track. You might get a dog that stops when the surface changes, as I've talked about loads of times in previous videos. And then if you restart the dog, like further down the road, like you might start the dog further down the road to one direction and then further down the road to another direction, and you see whether they can pick up that scent. So it seems to be that they did. And the dog then tracked down the road to Fred's and stopped at a vehicle.
On to Richard Gully's property too, driveway, but he just went so far up his driveway and then back, you know. They just hit so far up his driveway, but not as far as where his cameras was.
So not as far as his cameras. So this is the neighbour. He lives on like the other side to Fred, and the scent was there as well. So it could be scent pooling, but interestingly, the scent didn't go up as far as his cameras. Convenient, but hey.
And they hit even other places in Holler, but that could have been where certain ones had been around, you know, looking for some or some go around or something.
No, you're not going to be hitting on places where people have been who are looking for summer. No. Got to remember here, live scent trackers are searching specifically for summer scent. Not anybody else's scent, summer scent. So if you've got a mixed scent, that does confuse dogs. And it has to a very, very good dog to pick out one person's scent that's the target scent if it's mixed with another. It's always potentially a problem in live scent tracking when you're looking for one member of a family or one member of a shared household, because you're going to get mixed scent on items. That's why they normally use shoes, like the inside of shoes, because you're going to have a concentration of the target scent and very little of anyone else's scent, unless you share shoes, and then again that becomes an issue.
Less people see and hear things, the better off they are to not get caught. That's why I think they didn't want him up there around the time Summer disappeared. Yeah, probably because they didn't want people seeing anything.
There's just really about 2 places on Ben Hill that if there's going to be an exchange made or anything. Just say if there's time to make an exchange. The only places would be Don and them, between Don and them and Andy's driveway, because there's no one can see that area.
Right between Don and Andy's driveway is a blind spot.
Yeah.
But that's
So again, they're trying to implicate.
Okay, let's talk about the blind spot. These are Candace's words, okay? These are Candace's. So they say there's a blind spot right there where they could have handed Summer off to someone. Listen to this.
I don't know about Jackie Dobbs. I've just heard about him. I don't know about Jody Stu. You know, I've talked to Jody Stu time and time again, and every time she talks to me, her story has changed.
Like in how?
Okay, like, for instance, like, she said that she was down on the bottom after she heard somebody scream or whatever. She was never at the bottom of that driveway. I drove down there faster than she could fucking fly.
Okay. So she said, so the scream, of course, is out of the question now, right? There was no scream, right?
There's no scream, dude. She's maced all that shit up. Why? I can't lie. It's not in my metabolism.
Okay.
Now, if she was standing down there, was that after Summer had came up missing?
I don't know when she got down there. I just know when I drove down to my mom's truck, she was down there.
Okay.
Was she already looking, or was she doing something different?
She was just standing on the corner.
Very, very interesting.
Right.
Was it surprising, you coming down the drive knowing your daughter?
Yeah, because usually Jody Sue don't walk around. Why? I can't lie.
How does she know Jody Sue doesn't normally walk around? If there's a blind spot right there that Fred is talking about, how on earth can we have two different accounts of where Jody Sue was that day? She said, every time I talk to Jody Sue, she changes her story. Who's changing the stories? Candace said she was just standing on the corner. Then she said Jody Sue wasn't there. I didn't see Jody Sue. The day my daughter went missing, liar said, why do people always add misinformation to the case? They act like it's real fact information like Susan is doing. Susan has spoken to the family. Susan has said a few things before that Candace has said to her, like other people. So the misinformation, I think you need to direct that to the parents of a missing little girl. That is just my opinion, though. Welcome.
Okay, Dawn and Andy in something here, like an exchange or whatever.
Where Dobbs was moving in,
Yeah.
and so
Oh, and where Dobbs was moving it.
And then the only other place is where a place,
that flat area
yeah.
back there that we showed, it's back there.
207.
It's well even before 165, isn't it? Or is it?
No, it's after 165.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's after 202 or
Duh.
200. John's is 200 Greenville Road.
So people can carry other people's scents, right? Like that's how they think that Summer scent. That's how it traveled back there is through Dawn. It's not Dawn's scent. No, it's Summer scent.
Again, you'd have to have a very good dog to pick out the target scent from someone else's person, because that other scent would be the stronger one. And if Don walked down there on the 15th and then again on the 16th, you'd have pooling of his scent and a reduction in Summer scent. And if Don had showered or changed his clothes at all, then Summer scent would be very, very weak.
Thinking it was on the vehicle.
Well, and interestingly enough, it was said, and I cannot give a eyewitness account because I was not there, that when Dawn arrived on scene, we know Candace wouldn't come out. She didn't want to talk to the police. We know that part. That is what she said, not me. He had on clean clothes. He had on clean clothes. Sounds to me like he might have been home earlier that day. But only the police would know that.
The
But did he park up there?
So it was on his vehicle. So the vibrations from the vehicle made the scent fall out. I'm not believing this, honestly.
Up there?
He pulled up to the
Oh, he pulled up the driveway.
It'd be way more likely that Summer herself was there rather than the scent coming out from a vibrating vehicle. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. And also there was a hit over on Richard's property too, wasn't there?
yeah.
There was hits other
So again, this is Rich Gawley from over the other side of Ben Hill. You got Fred's property on one side, and then the Gawleys is like the other side of the road.
Put the hill up to about 100 foot or something up the asphalt drive.
100 foot up their driveway. Now, scent's not going to travel 100 foot to pull up a driveway. So the only way that scent could have got there, realistically, is if Summer was there.
But see, that's just like the footprints. They already found footprints. It was never confirmed that it was Summer's footprints.
Well, okay, let him carry on a little bit.
Right.
And it was just one footprint one place and another footprint another place. Just a single footprint.
That's true. 1 or 2 footprints were found on the Phillips land. The Phillips have a Beach Creek address, but it adjoins properties on Simpson Road. And then the other footprint was found on Mary Sexton's land. And I've got screenshots of Mary Sexton's daughter and Mr. Phillips talking about the footprints. Mr. Phillips was absolutely adamant that the searchers had said to him that these were Summer's footprints.
Lived on that property, had 2 children herself. They said it could have possibly been one of theirs.
No, completely the opposite. This is Mr. Phillips talking. A barefoot child's footprint that the dogs identified her scent in my woods and a neighbour's woods. No other scent or footprints were found. Just my opinion with nothing else to base it on, but that sounds like she was being carried and was set down to make it through a rough area.
I couldn't agree more. It sounds like she was being carried to make it through a rough area. Now let's go to what Pruitt said. Whether you like him, you hate him, whatever, but he is one of the investigators. He said, we have no evidence to say that she was trafficked out of this area. None. Nada. Zero. Zip. No matter what Tim wants to say, again, this is what Tim put on findsummerwells.com, even though it does everything but try to find Summer Wells. Last week, he gave us this cluster of knowledge, loving it. It was the Biden administration with open borders that was in office when Summer Wells disappeared. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh. So you're telling me that the cartel, the Venezuelans, whoever, just stumbled across Ben Hill Road early afternoon, June 15th, 2021, and just decided to go up a dog hill or a driveway when most people don't even know there's a house up there, and just happened to know where Summer was and get into the basement and pulled her out. Okay. Okay. With a pack of dogs. Sure.
You would expect more prints if she was walking. Search crews have been all over my land for several days before the footprint was found, so there was plenty adult footprints there. I've got loads of screenshots from Mr. Phillips because he did a lot of talking in the Facebook groups early on in the case, and then he got attacked, he got accused, so he left. So we didn't hear any more from him. But there were screenshots shared between Mary Sexton's daughter and Mr. Phillips. I've got all the screenshots. And the searchers said to Mr. Phillips that this dog alerting on this footprints, it was Summer's footprint, not his kids. He said his kids never played in the woods. But even if they had, they wouldn't have alerted on someone else's footprints from a completely different household. So no, Fred, you are wrong. But I'll let him carry on a little while here.
And see, when they was trying to find Summer scent, Dawn had to get a dirty sock out of the laundry basket and stuff. So they used a sock of Summers that come out of the dirty laundry basket, which I would think would be have those scents only.
Right.
Yeah, that would be.
Now, this is interesting because Candace has been asked before, how did they trace Summer's scent? Now then, if you listen to my show, we have a whole playlist, by the way. Back in 2021, we talked about the changing stories that came out of Candace's mouth. One was that she had her back turned and she was pouring cereal for Summer. She also said she was doing laundry that day. This is when TBI said to Dawn, pin her down on what happened from when she got home to when 911 was called. Well, she said she was doing laundry. Then where the hell did the dirty sock come from? Lie after lie after lie.
A very bad article. Out of a dirty laundry basket, you're going to have the scent from all sorts of people on it. So using a sock, no, that's a very, very bad idea. I'd be very surprised if the searchers actually use that as a scent article. If they did, that's very problematic.
One shoe was something.
That's true, guys. That's true. First, you guys got it. I didn't. So we have to think of the source of what they use for summer scent too.
They use a shoe and a sock.
And he couldn't. Didn't he say he couldn't promise that the other kids didn't wear it too, or something like that?
He got it out of the dirty laundry, so I mean, it's going to have mixed scent with it.
That's true.
Sock would, but the shoe would have more consistent scent than the sock would have had.
The shoe is the best article to use in a mixed household.
And the pink slips showed what they took. They took several different articles of clothes, several different, probably so they could differentiate the mixed scent. But they took one shoe of Summer's. One shoe of Summer's, not a pair. They took one. That makes more sense to me. Also because they've done it in other cases. They have taken clothing from multiple members of the family and then clothing from just the missing because they can differentiate the scent.
A shoe, the inside of a shoe, that's got the best scent, the less likely to have mixed with anybody else from the household. So I'm just hoping they use the shoe and not the sock. But Fred is right on that the shoe would be a consistent scent. A sock from a dirty laundry basket, very problematic. But the footprints that were found on the 19th of June inspired this all-night search, the 19th into the 20th of June. And Dave Rader from EquiSearch got into town on the morning of the 20th of June, and the searchers told him that there was this all-night search. What Dave Rader explained is that the theory of the searchers was that Summer had been abducted and then brought back, and she's now wandering about in the woods, and that's where the footprints came from. But because there was adult prints all over, because they'd been through that land previously, there was nowhere to deduce which adult might have been with her. But I find it interesting that Fred is denying these footprints. I find that interesting. I don't really know why I find it interesting. I just do. So here, this is the map. We've got Summers Hill. That's Jodie Sue's property. So there was no scent found there. So there's a scent found going down either the driveway or the dog trail to the road. And then there's a scent found at Fred's place that went up the drive up to a vehicle. There was a scent alert on the goalie's place. I don't exactly know where. It's up his driveway, apparently. A footprint found on Mr. Phillips' land. That's Mr. Phillips' land. And then we've got a footprint found on Mary Sexton's land. And that's high up on a ridge. So I think what Mr. Phillips' theory said makes sense. That if there's just one or two footprints, but lots of adult footprints, it means the ground was soft. But because they couldn't find any other child footprints and a dog couldn't alert anywhere else, it would be likely that Summer was being carried. So I find it interesting that Fred is going to pains to deny those footprints. I find that interesting.
I find it interesting too. Very interesting. Extremely interesting. And I think anything, well, I'm going to go ahead and say even if it's Jodie Sue, is important in finding Summer Wells, just to give investigators some idea of where she could be. Now, of course, over the course of this, there's been a lot of shade thrown at Andy B. People still think, there's his channel, The Real Andy B, has something to do with Summer's disappearance. Well, we know there was an issue on Shark Week because Jody Sue didn't get no lovin'. We know he's with a different woman now. We know all that stuff about him and Jody Sue. But he called Pruitt himself, and he recorded the call. This is on his channel. We're going to play it straight through, and then we're going to go through it again, because in light of what Fred said last week, this is even more important.
Sheriff's office.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a hold of Detective Pruitt. I was trying to find out a couple things about something.
Hold on just a minute.
Thank you.
Detective Pruitt.
Yes, sir. How you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right. My name's George Bernard, Andy Bernard. I live at 125 Ben Hill Road. I was just trying to figure out some information, maybe, possibly.
What about?
Well, okay, for 3 years, I've been wrapped up in the middle of the Summer Wells case. For a while now, Fred, my cousin, has been saying that I was on the road that day. Nobody else has questioned me after I left my residence, when I separated from my
You're cutting in and out, sir. I can't hear half of what you're saying.
Can you hear me better now?
A little bit.
Okay, I left my residence, didn't go back till September. I went through a separation in the process. I mean, I was just wondering, I was just trying to figure out if there was anything I could do, needed to do. Do you need to talk to me, see me?
No, sir.
I mean, was I on?
Unless concrete leads come up that we can sort of verify the direction it's headed, we're just accepting concrete leads, and your name has not come up.
Okay. Well,
That, and I wouldn't put too much faith in what Fred Hill is saying.
well, I kind of knew that for the rip, but for 3 years, this has kind of been affecting me for 3 years.
I can understand, sir, but like I said, your name is not relevant to the investigation, so you don't have anything to be concerned about.
Okay, let's go through it again. All right, let's go through it again. Fred swears he saw Andy on the road that day. We know that some people have done their own investigative work and called Fred's employer, who has made it clear that Andy, not Fred's employer, Andy's employer, was at work all day. He has turned over the time cards. They have cameras in different places. And no, Pruitt's not going to give him any information. He just flat out said, you are not relevant to this investigation. Pruitt, who is an asshole, okay, he's a total asshole, would say, oh yeah, we've been trying to get a hold of you. We can't get enough YouTube. We just can't. We've been hearing all of it. Come on in. Come on in. And he says, you can't believe anything Fred says. Now, that might be a way of getting off the call. But when he says, you're not relevant to this investigation, if he was relevant to the investigation, he would have questions for him.
Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a hold of Detective Pruitt. I was trying to find out a couple things about something.
Hold on just a minute.
Thank you.
Detective Pruitt.
Mr. Friendly. There's Mr. Friendly right there. There's the one that said, you know, if you think you're so smart, if you think you're such smarty pants, we're taking applications.
Yes, sir. How you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right. My name's George Bernard, Andy Bernard. I live at 125 Ben Hill Road. I was just trying to figure out some information, maybe possibly.
Maybe possibly. Something got old Andy Bernard pretty damn spun up to the point where he's just like, Now I would have been calling the minute I heard I was accused of being on the road at the time Summer Wells disappeared. I'd have been calling then. But obviously something got under his skin. That is just my opinion.
What about?
Well, okay, for 3 years, I've been wrapped up in the middle of the Summer Wells case. For a while now, Fred, my cousin, has been saying...
Fred's his cousin. Fred's his cousin. Ben Hill is Andy Bernard's like great grandfather. It's Ben Hill Road. Fred's his cousin.
That I was on the road that day. Nobody else has questioned me after I left my residence when I separated from my
You're cutting in and out, sir. I can't hear half of what you're saying.
Can you hear me better now?
A little bit.
Okay. I left my residence, didn't go back till September. I went through a separation in the process. I mean, I was just wondering, I was just trying to figure out if there was anything I could do, needed to do. Do you need to talk to me, see me?
No, sir.
I mean, was I on?
Unless concrete leads come up that we can sort of verify the direction it's headed, we're just accepting concrete leads, and your name has not come up.
Okay. Well,
that, and I wouldn't put too much faith in what Fred Hill is saying.
Well,
he found that to be funny when Pruitt said, I wouldn't put too much faith into what Fred Hill is saying. Well, they would know. They would know. Don't think they don't want this off their desk. Don't think between the TBI and Hawkins County, they would prefer that phone stop ringing with craziness. And I bet they have had some insane phone calls.
Well, I kind of knew that for the rip, but for 3 years, this has kind of been affecting me for 3 years.
I understand, sir, but like I said, your name is not relevant to the investigation, so you don't have anything to be concerned about.
Okay, I greatly appreciate that. That eases my mind a lot, and I greatly appreciate you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you.
All right, right there. Pruitt says, you have nothing to be concerned about. You're not relevant to this investigation. You're not. What could be more important in Hawkins County than a missing little girl? people pawning tools at the pawn shop, meth. And he recorded that phone call to put it out there so people would leave him alone. I'm going to tell you right now, I would too. If people were placing me at a potential crime scene, I wouldn't have waited till March of 2024 to call, though. I can say that. I can say that. But again, people keep bringing up Jackie Damn Dobbs and the land dispute. Okay, for the millionth time, Jody can't have a land dispute. You know why? Because Jody don't own shit. There is not one real estate record on Ben Hill Road that is attached to the name Jody Sue Brown. In other words, it's not her damn business. It's not her business. This is from our friend Criminal, and she has a lot to say about the so-called dispute between Jackie Dobbs and Jody Sue. That would be like my neighbor coming over to me, bitching at me about us buying this house. I'll be like, oh, we didn't buy it from you, so what's it matter? What's it matter? And they ran that old man off. He didn't want the bullshit. Do you blame him? He had to go somewhere else for peace of mind.
2021, Jackie Dobbs bought a small piece of land next to Andy and Jody Sue on Ben Hill. On June the 14th, the day before Summer vanished, he went there with plans to stay. But as he arrived, he got into an argument with Andy and Jody Sue over property lines. Recently, Don B released a 48-minute long conversation
over property lines. Property lines. What is Jody, a surveyor now? How would Jody understand where the property lines run or don't run? Again, not her business.
with Dobbs, where he explains his version of events. If you feel like watching the entire conversation, I really recommend it, and you'll find a link in the description box.
I got there on the 14th of June in 19 and 20 and 21. I got there right before 4 o'clock. And guess who the first person that comes by in the white Sonoma pickup is? That's Don.
Yeah.
Okay. He wasn't even there on the 15th. He was there on the 14th, the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. The first person he saw was Don.
It seemed to me that Don had something on his mind.
And this was the day before?
Yeah, the day before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he seemed like he had something on his mind. You ever see a man?
Jackie's not the only person to say that. Jackie Dobbs is not the only person to say that on the 14th of June, Don seemed to have something on his mind. We know that's the day that he fired Dudley. We know Dudley said he became very preoccupied in his thoughts. Something was happening. Now, according to Don, it's because he thought Dudley was doing meth. But Don doesn't know anything about meth, so he had to watch YouTube videos about how people that are doing meth act. Sure you don't, Don. Sure you don't.
Have like 1,000 miles there.
Note how he claims Don seemed to have something on his mind, which reminded me of Dudley's statement.
He was the one that was sitting on a damn toilet the day that he fired me, staring at his phone like he lost something in his life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was on a Saturday, a Monday. That's when I got fired.
Yeah. Don had to look on YouTube, supposedly. Yeah. On how people that are doing meth act. But Dudley said that was a Monday. That's when I got fired. That's the 14th. Remember? Because Don drove to Bristol, Virginia to give him like $300 that he owed him. Who the hell would care about squaring up with Dudley that you fired when your daughter's missing? Don't you think you'd have other things going on? Dudley said, you know, and I'm like, what the F is wrong with you? You look like you lost your best friend. Then a little later in the afternoon, Jackie Dobbs said something was definitely different with Don.
You know, and I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You look like you lost your best friend. You know what I mean? And all this. And Don's demeanor, when I met him, he seemed like he had something on his mind.
Yeah.
But we talked a short while.
God damn, wish this dude wasn't such a fucking liar and I could believe him.
Many of Dobbs' statements.
So why is Purple Eyeshadow saying that Dobbs is such a liar? What is there to lie about? He bought some property. He sees Don in the white Sonoma, and he said it seemed like he had something on his mind. Again, she has no rights to what he bought. Property line disputes or not, Miss Purple Eyeshadow has nothing to bitch about.
Concerns Jody Sue. She reacted to the conversation and calls him a liar pretty much throughout the entire video. In May 2021, the month before everything went down, Jody Sue went live on Facebook and expressed her feelings regarding an offer she had made that wasn't accepted by the seller.
$7,000 to try to build a $500,000 house on that piece that I hope falls off the goddamn bank. I hope her greed eats her and everybody else. Had she taken my offer, which is stupid enough to move into fucking Beach Creek in somebody else's fucking yard, because they know they can die.
Okay, look at what she said. She offered $7,000 to try to build a $500,000 house on that piece of property. Now, where would Purple Eyeshadow for one get $7,000? Where would Purple Eyeshadow get a line of credit to finance a $500,000? This is the woman that was begging for money on another channel for Christmas gifts and to buy that tiny house or whatever she was going to get. She needed $2,500, and then she got mad because said creator kept the money. So she said she hopes that property falls off the bank. I hope her greed eats her and everybody else. Had she taken my offer, OMG. I can just imagine the offer. It was probably like, okay, we'll give you $7,000, but we need 10 years to pay that off. But we need the deed to the land so we can borrow against it to build a house or something like that.
Everybody else. Had she taken my offer, which is stupid enough to move into fucking Beach Creek in somebody else's fucking yard, because they know they can die.
She said because they know they can die. Basically, it comes down to Jackie Dobbs had the money. He had it. And they ran him off with their threats and everything. Who would be stupid enough to move into effing Beach Creek into somebody else's effing yard? You, Purple. You, Purple. It still doesn't make sense that Summer Wells would go missing over this argument. You were the one going nuts about property lines and everything. But she says, because they know they can die. What, was she going to trade them in cigarettes?
Somebody needs to maybe whisper that for the first time in history of Beach Creek, people are tired of out-of-fucking-staters and out-of-towners thinking they're going to move the fuck in there and do this bullshit. I've never seen anybody move on top of anybody else that wasn't family inside of the country like this, but here we are. But
who the hell wants to live around their family? And you're such family, Purple Passion, that Andy wouldn't even marry you. You've been with him forever and a day, and you're not even married. He wouldn't even put a ring on your finger. But she said, and now this wouldn't be happening, and people wouldn't be in danger. Nobody should be in danger because somebody bought a piece of property. That's crazy.
the point is people would have made more had they just taken our fucking shit. And none of this would be happening and people wouldn't be in danger. And I really don't give a
But we talked a short while, maybe 2 minutes, and he's gone, and he alerted his acquaintances.
Nobody alerted anything.
Wow. This is a scary, scary gene pool on that road. I mean, it's a real scary gene pool. Nobody alerted anything. Monster and I woke up from that because he came home early the day, and that was the plan. And the tree cutters cut out early. Well, the tree cutters have nothing to do with it. They've all been interviewed. They know where they were. So you can quit with that.
The Monster and I woke up from that because he had come home early in the day, and that was the plan. And the tree cutters cut out early, and whatever. I want a goddamn polygraph, and I want the rest of these motherfuckers to go fall off a cliff. So.
Nobody's going to give you a polygraph, Jody. They're not going to spend the time or money on it because you're not relevant to the case as much as you want to be. You didn't, but thank you for smelling your armpit in front of us. That's great. Look at that. Yeah. Thank you for smelling your armpit right in front of all of us.
I want a goddamn polygraph, and I want the rest of these motherfuckers to go fall off a cliff somewhere. You shut the whole fuck up.
And about 15 minutes later, here comes Jody and Andy Sue just raising sand. Andy and Jody Sue are raising hell on me.
I like how Dobbs calls Jody and Andy Sue. They're raising hell with him. All right. So Armpit Sniffer says she's really tired of people that aren't family coming in to Beach Creek and piling up on each other Ben Hill Road. But she's BFF with Candace. BFF with Candace. Candace is from another state. Dawn is from another state. Jody is not from the area. No, she's not. She's not. Has anybody ever heard of a shortage in Hawkins County of purple eyeshadow or glittery pink nail polish? No, because Jody's not from there.
I could tell I wasn't too much welcome there.
Huh.
Although on the land, I was trespassing on my own land.
Yeah.
But
So they had an argument, the cops were called, and Dobbs ended up leaving to stay at the motel for the night. He also speaks about how Andy and Jody Sue went looking for him that night. I know Jody Sue has addressed this prior, and to my understanding, she claimed that they were searching for him because he gave them bad vibes and they wanted to know where he was to feel safe for the night. But Dobbs has another theory.
Here's the question. Hey, Just Bell, I can see your comments. You're making great comments. Here's the question. So they run Jackie Dobbs out. They run him out. Andy Sue and Purple Sue. They run Jackie Dobbs out. He's an old man. He's out there by himself. He doesn't want the craziness around him. Why didn't they buy the property then? Why didn't they buy the property once they ran him out? You know why? Because they never had any intention of buying it. None.
On the evening of the 14th, they're saying that they were looking for me.
Why were they looking for you?
I was vowing legal action against Bernard, I think.
I mean,
Yeah. I've had other theories too. I'm thinking something may have happened to the little girl before the 15th, and
He has theories, but yet the feds have said they are positive Summer was fine on the 15th. But here.
OMG. Okay. Purple Sue said, he has theories, but yet the feds have said they are positive Summer was fine on the 15th. I believe she was too. I believe she was actually seen by Hunter. I think she was seen by Allie one way or another. She had to have been seen on camera somewhere throughout the day. But this is what's interesting. When Purple Sue said, the feds have said they are positive Summer was fine on the 15th. So was she on a conference call with Lisa K. Ruitz with the feds? Because I have a feeling they aren't giving info to Purple Sue. No.
They were looking to knock me off and plant evidence.
Huh.
Wow. That'd be a no, sir. Holy shit. Okay. Hi, Precious. It's time for treats.
This is a post Dobbs.
Okay, and on Jackie Dobbs' Facebook, he said, and I may be alive today because AB and company didn't know where I was. The man went into hiding, basically. All right? Just Bell lives 45 minutes away from there and said it's deep country. And we're supposed to believe in this holler, people crossed the border, according to Tim Mullen and Don, and just happened across that road and just happened to find Summer. I don't think so. Jackie Dobbs goes on to say, and had they allowed me to stay, they could knock me off, plant evidence, and all be well. Just my theory. Whew. Wow.
Made way back.
The day that little girl went missing, were you even up in the Beach Creek area?
No.
Okay.
I always have to go out and walk around every hour or two, so we're walking around the ground every hour or two that afternoon.
Right.
And I'm sure that the TBI has all the tapes of that day. I hope they do anyway. on the way home on the 16th, Andy Bernard called me, and he told me he give me the TBI's number, so I called the TBI.
Uh-huh.
Before I left Tennessee, I called them, and they didn't say not to leave Tennessee. So, and I didn't have a place to stay in Tennessee, so I went back down to Cleveland. But I talked to FBI. The FBI sent 2 guys to see me since I've been, or since that interview in June. They haven't been bothering me. They checked my story out, and you know.
Yeah.
Dobbs also mentioned.
Yeah. After they talked to Jackie, he called the TBI. They sent 2 dudes from the FBI to talk to him. They never needed to talk to him again because they know where he was that day. You bet. Now let's go back to brass tacks. Let's get to the gnat's ass. The gnat's ass is, who did law enforcement say is not cooperating? Who? Y'all know the answer. Y'all know the answer.
Jody Sue's dog, which makes her believe he's lying.
I was hoping I'd be there and I could turn Elvis Duke's name off the lease, but I don't know about that place. Jody Sue had that big ass dog up there.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Hey, let me tell you something. He could have never seen that dog. So, Dobbs, I'm going to ask.
Purple Sue doesn't look like a responsible dog owner. So for her to say he couldn't have ever seen that dog, I have a suspicion that dogs just kind of run wherever they want. Like, I don't see Candace coming out and putting leashes on 20 dogs to take them for a responsible walk. I just don't. I don't see Purple Sue with her big ass dog. Hell, he might have saw Jody and got him confused. I don't know. I don't see her putting a leash on the big ass dog and responsibly walking the dog and putting the dog back where the dog's supposed to go. I'm not seeing that. No.
Ask, you ever seen that dog? That means you were up further on the property at some point that you claim you were never on prior. If you ever laid eyes on that fucking dog, Dobbs, that means you were at the very top. Why? Oh boy. Means you were there before, Dobbs.
Dobbs had posted.
Cracking the case. That means you were further up on the property. You were further up. God forbid the man walks around. God forbid the man walks around. Anders, what's going on? It says, you are so kind to me, with a sad face. I see you, honey. I didn't see you earlier, so I'm sorry you weren't welcomed. Wait, what? Said, I've been thinking the 14th and the Subaru is important. Oh, yeah, I think the 14th is very important. According to Tim Mullen, that's when CPS was there. Dudley was fired, and he witnessed some things from Don. Jackie Dobbs was on the property. He witnessed some odd behavior from Don. Now, I don't know how many times he'd seen him before. Don't know. I think the 16th is important, too, because Don said, now some people say this is not true, but hell, I wasn't part of the text. They didn't include me in on it when Don said they were coming back on the 16th. I do think it's important.
Posted regularly about missing children on his Facebook before June 15th, which is something many have found suspicious. He addressed why he was doing so.
Like I say, I was sharing those pictures from that center with good intentions.
Yeah.
The Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Oh,
At the end of the interview, Don B and Dobbs had a good talk on where the focus needs to be, but Jody Sue was still very upset.
yeah. I mean, looking back on all that now, you probably had no idea what was coming, did you?
I had no idea. It's the craziest thing that ever happened to me in my life, Don.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, what we can. I mean, everybody just needs to settle down.
Yeah.
And because we have to stop and think, what would Summer want? That's what we've got to strive to do. Is if Summer would want us to not.
I'll tell you, Summer wouldn't like most of you motherfucking YouTubers. These are facts. You people suck. She wouldn't like shit any of you motherfuckers are doing. That's what Summer, you pieces of shit.
Wow. Right out of the horse's ass. My goodness. Right out of the horse's ass. Summer wouldn't like none of you YouTubers, you pieces of shit. But she would like you. She would like you. Who supposedly, according to you, knew how she was being treated up on that hill and did nothing about it. You don't have a case number from calling Tennessee CPS. You don't. You don't have one. You don't even have one. You made up that whole story about how Andy was selling meds to make all the girls up there sleepy. Look, it would take a horse tranquilizer to make Candace sleepy, okay? We've seen your Amazon wish lists. We've seen you on another channel, which has been shut down now. I don't know what happened, not my business. Where you were begging for money. You said you needed $2,500 to get a tiny house and get the utilities turned on.
Whether the outcome's going to be good or bad, she would want us to focus on her and not us.
She wouldn't like most of you motherfuckers.
Yeah. That picture of her in the back of the seat of the truck there, that is awful. Kind of.
Dobbs, Jody Sue, Andy, and this land dispute may not have anything to do with Summer's disappearance, but I do feel that there seems to be many coincidences happening all at once. We have a piece of land being sold to an outsider, the land dispute on the 14th. Also on the 14th, Dudley gets fired and Don is acting in a noticeable way, according to both Dobbs and Dudley, all on the 14th. On top of that, we've been told that Don began taking the Subaru to work only a few days prior to the 15th. Then poof, on the 15th, Summer vanishes right in the middle of a CPS investigation. I can't help but to wonder, was this the perfect opportunity for the abductor, supposedly someone known to Summer, to put the blame on someone else? Could it have been part of an intentional build-up of the perfect storm for the perfect crime? Or is it all coincidental? What do you think?
Too many coinky dinks for me. Way too many coinky dinks for me. And I agree with Anders. The barrel dance is creepy. For one, your child is outside in the rain with a shaved head and clothes that are way too big for her, dancing around a barrel that says for sale. And that's what you call a cute moment, and you record it and you put it on the TikTok. Wow. I don't know. But if you are catching this on the replay, please leave me a comment and tell me what you think about this new information. I don't know. I haven't really wrapped my mind around it yet. I don't know why Dobbs keeps popping back up. If he's talked to 2 FBI agents and called the TBI and they have no further questions for him, tells me he has nothing to do with it. If Purple Sue was that upset about the land and he got the hell off of there, then why didn't her and Andy buy it? Or how about this? Why didn't she buy it her damn self? too many things to even think about in this case. Way too many. But we know there is an open criminal investigation, and we know that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said they cannot rule out foul play. Again, check out Real Andy B's channel. I showed one of his videos, Michelle After Dark, Criminal. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. I actually had a second show planned, but we are having a hell of a storm. And during this live, I was buffering in and out on my end like Netflix during the Tyson fight. Wasn't that a shit show? Goodness. I could see naked people on the scrambled channels better in 1985 than I could that fight. Boy, that was a joke and a half. All right, if I don't see you in Discord, one of the Facebook groups, whatever have you, then I'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. I think we're going to have a 2 for Tuesday. Y'all up for a 2 for Tuesday? You guys are the absolute best. I will see you mañana.